Well, welcome to this very special episode of the Notch 6 podcast. I'm privileged enough to be sitting in the train room of Mr. Richard Kughn today, the former owner and president of Lionel Trains Incorporated, somebody who I've admired for many years and somebody who's been gracious enough to take some time and sit here and tell us about his involvement with Lionel. Dick, thank you so much for the time. We're so glad to have you on the show. Welcome.
Well, it's my pleasure to be with you, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to be talking about.
This is going to be a lot of fun, and it's so exciting to get your take on your time at Lionel. I always start my interviews by asking about what was your childhood like and how you got involved in model railroading. From what I understand, it was kind of an accident.
Yes, it was. Well, not an accident. It was just a happening, and I was walking home from school, and it was trash day. And out in the street or whatever was a trash barrel. And sticking out of the top of it was the Lionel train set, traffic, transformer. And I looked at it and I said, well, let me take it home. Maybe Dad can help me put it together, make it run, we'll see. So I did. I took it home. Dad took it down the basement with me in pursuit and put it up on the ping pong table, cleaned it up and went to work on it, and we got it running. And that was my exposure to a Lionel train, the beginning of a hobby and a passion that, boy, I'm still in love with.
Now, after that first train, after you got it working, did you think, okay, I enjoy this, and so did it just kind of start building after that first train? Did you get things for Christmas? How did it work after that?
Right. Christmas, I got a new tin plate set from Santa Claus and played with that. That had to be about 1939, something like that. And because it was 1937 that I found the trash barrel. And so that got me started, and you can see on the shelf here one of the trains, not the exact one I had, but the same train model, which was my third train set. And that, of course, is not tin plate, the one I'm looking at right now. Mm-hmm. Had a die-cast engine, and that really got me going. And by then I was starting to grow up, and I was now getting into high school. And I continued on, and I subscribed to some of the magazines of the day and read up on things. HO was a big thing at that time. O gauge, 027. We're doing transition from excuse me, from tin plate on the rolling stock into the plastic units. Mm-hmm. And it was fun. And I did a train layout at the house. And up in the attic, Dad built a train table for me. And I started doing a layout, a small layout. And my buddies would come over and we'd work at the tabletop to build models and do things. And we actually had a lot of fun putting together a train layout. One thing I learned through that entire first several years of my train hobby life was that the Lionel trains had a great educational value to them. And what do I mean by educational? What did we teach? What did they learn? They learned electronics. They learned model making, mechanics, and model building, all of that. But I think probably the most important thing we learned was that we learned how to get along with other people and doing a program or a project that we wanted to be productive in. And we all had different ideas. But when you learn that at a young age, it prepares you for later life, knowing how to deal with other people and make sure you can make progress in the things you want to do.
Yeah, that's a very important point that you bring up, that these really are educational and always have been educational toys, and you make good points about electrical skills, model making, but that's an interesting point about the fact that you learn to negotiate with other people, and you learn to compromise, and you learn to take ideas as a team and put them all together, and put them together into this big project. I like how you put that
Yeah.
that it is as much as it's an exercise in team building as it is anything else, and I like how you explain that.
Right, and this layout you see here, it was a 2-year program getting it built, and I had a couple of my employees in here working with me that really knew about toy trains and how to go about it. And that's how this came to be, through the ideas of the three of us, blending them together and saying, well, that works, or that doesn't work, or whatever the case may be. And this is the end product, and I think it's a pretty good end product.
It's a beautiful layout, and we'll take some pictures and we will post them on our Facebook page for our listeners to get a look at this amazing layout in your amazing train room. This layout really is something to see. I mean, it's clear that a lot of time and a lot of love and a lot of effort went into creating this, so we'll be excited to share that with our listeners. As you continued to grow up and as you aged and obviously went through high school and started your business career, where did trains fit into all of that? Did it kind of go away and then come back? How did you develop in the hobby as you continued to grow up?
When I got out of high school, I was kind of floundering and bouncing around. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so for the first year, that's what happened. And then in the second year, I went to work in a factory in Michigan as an inspector on the production line in a Briggs Manufacturing. That was a great experience for me, understanding, learning what the automotive industry was all about. And of course that's motion, transportation, and so on. That's what trains is. During that period, my train stuff kind of came to a halt. I didn't do anything. And I did get married, and then my career was now on its way. And so I was probably 23, 24 years old when I first started small collecting, getting a train set and playing around with it. And that just, one thing led to another. We joined some of the clubs and just had a ball.
Very neat. So it sounds like the trains were never that far from your mind. Obviously,
right.
They went away for a little bit in high school, but it sounds like it came back really early into your career. It's not like you made it into your 30s and 40s. I mean, you were back in your mid-20s, which is really pretty rare in this hobby. Most people wait until after a family starts or after the kids have started to grow up. So for you, it was a little bit of a different story, it sounds like.
Right.
Very neat. Starting back collecting at such a young age, and obviously taking that through your career, when did you realize, this is a really big hobby? I'm collecting a lot of stuff. When did you think, it might be kind of fun to make this more than a hobby at some point?
Yes, that did happen. But it happened and I didn't know it was happening. Let me put it that way. Because I started collecting and the collection started to grow, and I was probably 40 years old, I guess. Because my kids were, now coming out of college or out of high school and going on to college, and it requires space to do this kind of a thing. And I now had a home that I could do it in. So yeah, I guess I was about 40. And I just started collecting and going to the train shows down in Toledo, Ohio, for the LCCA and the train clubs down there. And as the collection grew, the people down there knew that I was collecting, all the fellows that would come to the conventions. And they would turn to me and they would say, "Dick, you own just about everything now in Lionel. why don't you buy the company? That's the only thing you're missing. Well, that became a big joke, I don't know, for 4 or 5 years. You know, they would kid me when I'd buy something big down there. But one day I got a call from my attorney here in Detroit, and he said, Dick, have you ever thought about negotiating with Lionel to buy the company? And I said, yeah, but I passed it out of my mind entirely. Why? He said, well, I think that the Lionel Train Company could be for sale. And I said to my attorney, well, find out. So he called them, talked to them, and they said, well, who is this guy that wants to buy the company? Can you tell us that? And my attorney told him, well, not without his permission, but I'll call him and get back to you. So he did. He called them and told them that, and told them my name, Dick Kughn, and they said, oh, okay, we'll call you back tomorrow. So the next day they called him back and they said, we want to talk to you. And so we started talking. And that is when it came about that it was time to own the company.
Very neat. Let's step into your ownership of Lionel. Tell me one of your favorite memories about being the owner of Lionel. Was it the people? Was it walking into the plant during production? What made Lionel such a special place? Kind of paint a picture for our listeners and kind of take us there to what made Lionel so special for you. What are your favorite memories of being here in Michigan and owning the company?
Well, number one, it was a pride thing. I mean, Lionel was an iconic name in the toy train business. So, you know, I was proud of owning the company. And during the time I owned the company, you know, I could walk around the plant and talk to people, actually on the production line or painting booth or whatever. And I found that there were a bunch of nice people. And I think they found I was maybe a pretty good guy. But anyway, that's a memory I do remember because we had a lot of employees out there at the plant. Mm-hmm. And getting to know them and another side of life, if you will. Mm-hmm. The other things were in the management end, sitting down with the management people, talking about product line, what things should we be carrying, what should we tweak, where do we go from here with presenting to the public what we think they want and hopefully guess correctly. Those meetings were very, very good meetings and a lot of fun.
I bet.
Those were two of the most important parts, I think, of my experience at Lionel. Going to the train shows, you know, down at the TCA in Pennsylvania. They were all great experiences, really.
This has been a Lionel Collectors Club of America production, where we are constantly striving to bring our members, friends, and fans the most updated information and communications for all things Lionel.